Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever looked at a set of instructions so incredibly detailed it felt like it came from another world? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, right from the book of Exodus. We're going to take what looks like a simple inventory and unpack this amazing story of divine design, incredible skill, and sacred purpose. Okay, so here's our game plan for this incredible project. We're going to start with the divine blueprint, the materials list. Then we'll see how they turned solid gold into thread, which is just wild. After that, we'll look at the absolutely stunning garments themselves. And finally, the big moment, the final inspection. Let's get right into it. So, first things first. Every huge project needs a blueprint. And this one was no different. Except, for these holy garments, the blueprint was divine. And the shopping list, well, it was nothing short of extraordinary. Only the absolute finest materials would do. So what were they working with? We're talking about a truly stunning collection of resources. You've got these rich, vibrant fabrics, blue, purple, scarlet, all woven into fine linen. But the real headliners here are pure gold, onyx stones, and a whole host of other precious gems. And believe me, these weren't just chosen because they were pretty. Every single material was packed with sacred, symbolic meaning. Okay, this next part is one of my absolute favorites. The materials list says pure gold. So how in the world do you turn a solid gold ingot into something you can weave with? Well, this next section gets into one of the most brilliant displays of ancient metallurgy you'll ever read about. So here's how they pulled it off. It's this ingenious three-step process. First, the artisans would take pure gold and hammer it, beat it, into these incredibly thin plates. Then, as you can see in step 2, they'd meticulously cut those plates into fine wires. And here's the kicker for step 3. They didn't just stitch the gold on top. No way. They wove the golden threads directly into the fabric, right alongside the colored linen. What a remarkable technique. And I love how the text puts it here. It's called cunning work. That's such a specific phrase. It's not just labor or hard work. Cunning work tells you this required immense skill, real artistry, and a whole lot of ingenuity. These were master craftsmen at the top of their game. So, with all the raw materials ready and these incredible techniques mastered, the artisans could finally start putting together the actual garments for Aaron, the high priest, and his sons. And every single piece we're about to look at was totally unique and served a crucial symbolic purpose. The first major piece is the ephod. The best way to picture it is kind of like a sacred, incredibly ornate vest. It was made from that special linen, the one with all the gold threads woven right in. And this wasn't just another piece of clothing. It was the foundational garment that other key items would be attached to. Now, this is such a powerful, symbolic detail. Right on the shoulders of the ephod, they set 2 onyx stones in gold. And engraved on those stones were the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. I mean, think about that. The high priest was literally carrying his people on his shoulders as he served. It was a constant memorial, a reminder of exactly who he represented. Then you have the robe of the ephod, which had this fascinating feature designed for both sight and sound. Along the very bottom hem, the artisans alternated between these little fabric pomegranates and tiny golden bells. So whenever the priest moved around in the holy place, you'd hear this subtle, constant chiming, an audible signal of his sacred service. And the text makes a really clear distinction here. You have Aaron, the high priest, who's set apart by these unbelievably elaborate garments, the ephod, the robe, the breastplate. But his sons, the other priests, they wore dignified but much simpler vestments of fine linen. So their clothes were holy, for sure, but they were also visibly different, which highlighted the unique role of the high priest. Okay, now we get to what might just be the centerpiece of the entire collection, the breastplate of judgment. This thing wasn't just an accessory, it was an absolute masterpiece of gem setting, symbolism, and just incredible design. The construction here was unbelievably precise. The measurement they used was a span. That's an ancient measure, roughly the distance from the tip of your thumb to your pinky. The breastplate was made 4 square, so a perfect square. And then it was doubled, folded over to create this strong pouch-like structure. And set into this breastplate was its most stunning feature. 12 completely different gemstones, all arranged in 4 perfect rows, just like you see here. Each stone was then engraved with the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel.
It's this powerful visual symbol of the entire nation being carried right over the heart of the high priest. All right, moving from the chest up to the head, there was one last powerful piece crafted for the high priest's headpiece, or mitre. And this item, it was a crystal clear public declaration for absolutely everyone to see. This exact phrase, "Holiness to the Lord," was engraved onto a plate of pure gold. This holy crown was then tied with a blue cord right to the very front of the mitre. It was the first thing people would see, a constant shining dedication of his entire being to his sacred role. And this is just so crucial. Throughout the entire long description of this whole process, one phrase repeats like a drumbeat, "As the Lord commanded Moses." That refrain is not there by accident. It's the central theme. Every single detail, from the color of a thread to where a stone was placed, was all about faithful obedience to a divine plan. And so, after all the weaving and the engraving and the assembly, we finally reached the culmination of this immense effort, the final inspection. The time had come to present all the finished work for approval. The text paints such a vivid picture of this moment. It wasn't just the garments we've been talking about, but all the finished work for the tabernacle. The tent itself, the furniture, every single piece, it's all gathered up and presented to Moses for his review. I mean, just try to imagine that scene. So, what was the verdict? Well, after looking over every single item, from the biggest curtain down to the smallest golden hook, Moses saw that the people had done it. They had executed the divine plan with perfect, 100% precision. This final verse is just the ultimate seal of approval. The work wasn't just good, it wasn't just beautiful, it was exactly as it was commanded to be. And in response to this perfect obedience and incredible skill, Moses blessed them. And this leaves us with a really powerful idea to think about. When instruction manual is seen as a divine command, the actual physical work, the hammering of gold, the weaving of thread, it becomes an act of worship. It suggests that the quality, the precision, and the faithfulness we bring to our own work, well, that can be a sacred duty in itself. Makes you think, doesn't it?